some fun. You only live once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. I don't care if you're young or old. Let's get together, let the good times roll. Don't sit there mumbling, talking trash. You wanna have some fun, you better spend some cash and let the good times roll. 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 I don't care if you're young or old. Let's get together, let the good times roll. Let's roll.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Britain's Rare Guitars live chat show. My name is Lars Mullen, and I'm here with Gareth Circuit, and we have some very interesting artists we're going to interview tonight. We have Ozz from the popular British band April Blue, singer, composer, guitarist, and I'm going to be talking to Steve Walwyn, long-standing guitarist in Dr Feegood, one of Britain's longest, wonderful R&B blues bands. Steve is currently about 8 miles out on his bicycle somewhere. He's heading home as fast as he can. He should be here on time. Who have you got lined up as well, Gareth?
I have Mr. Jon Antony from the band 9 Miles South.
That sounds cool. That's probably where Steve is now on his bike. What a great name. That's a
Yeah,
great
9 miles, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great name for a band. I suppose wherever you are in the world, you're going to be known well south of. Oh, that's probably been said so many times. But what's a great name for a band? You can remember the band themselves. Are they British based?
I believe they are, yeah, all of them, I think.
That's cool.
No, it's John shaking his head at me. No, not all of them. Most of them are British based.
Most of them are British based. Oh, well, come from the UK, folks, wherever you're watching, whatever time you've got in the world, it is 6:30 here in the UK. A sunny evening. We have thunderstorms around, but we're not scared of the thunder anymore. We are big boys. We're going to be good. Dr Feegood, by the way, when Steve arrives, he's going to tell us how, it's been said many, many times that their upbeat R&B, fast-paced songs like Down to the Jetty, Canvey Island stuff, they've been going since the very early 70s. Said they influenced the punk scene in the mid-70s, but lots of stories about that in a minute. And Steve's guitar called the Plank. So that's probably what I'll be walking if I don't get the connections right here. So, but I want to first bring in Ozz from the band April Blue. But before we're going to have a little snippet from his single called Blood, latest single from the band called Blood.
Have you got melanin? Have you got estrogen? Have you got blood? Have you got blood? Do you need oxygen? Like religion? Have you got blood? Have you got blood? Blood. And all these bitches be so basic. All these bitches be so basic. It's like they never wanna face it. Saying, give me all your money, give me all your power, give me all your sex, what's left? Blood. Blood. Have you got history? Have you got family? Have you got blood? Have you got blood? Have you got energy? Boundless sublimity. Have you got blood? Have you got blood? Blood. And all these bitches be so basic. these bitches be so basic. It's like they never wanna face it. Saying, give me all your money, give me all your power, give me all your sex, what's left? Blood. Blood.
And all this time.
There we go. That's a new video from April Blue called Blood. And from April Blue, we have Ozz. Ozz, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's great stuff. Do you know, I like that video. It's half, is it like half animated, half real? It reminds me of a film, crikey, quite a few years ago. I think it was Keanu Reeves in it. Something called, oh, crikey, what's it called? Scanner Darkly or something. But it's like a half and half.
Yeah, that's what we were going for. Yeah.
Did you write, produce that yourself?
Yeah, so we write, produce, direct our own videos, and for the first time ever, I actually edited that one, so that was quite fun. That was interesting. But yeah, so that was our lockdown project basically. We had this track, so we finished that, and I wanted to get it out with a video because we're not gigging, you know. So it was like, well, let's do something, and that's what we did. But we wanted like a kind of comic book vibe to it, so that's why it's kind of cartoony and a bit choppy and changey, and you know, if you're shooting yourselves with an iPhone, it kind of, you've got to cover over the edges somehow, so we went for this comic book vibe. But that was all shot by ourselves in lockdown situation, which was funny.
So when did you write the song? Did you have the song written? Because it seems themey. Have you got blood? And is it themed on the virus, the dreaded lockdown period, or do you have it?
So that song's been kind of, I guess, in the same way as the current world has been simmering for a while. That song's been kind of bubbling away for me for quite a long time, and it just seemed like the right time to do it, and it needed a video because it needed a visual, you know. So it was like, well, we've got all this time, let's finally get this track out. So it is very current, but that's nice. It feels good to have something that resonates so much at the moment. Cool.
There's an old school, I always use the word fab, which is a bit old, but it's groovy. There's some cool grooves in it. I've got a line I've taken off your website here. I've got notes all over the place. April Blue, delivering sultry grooves while masterfully walking the line between laid back and sleazy, gritty rock. Get out of that. Tell me all about the band sound. Because halfway through, you've got the bassist, Ian. He comes in with sort of like a rappy type thing. Is that the word to say?
Yeah. So he's our rapper. So we've got Ian playing bass and rap, and occasionally synth and like MPC, so electronic drums. We've got Alex playing electronic drums and live kit. We've got Sarah playing synth and keyboards, and then I sing and play guitar and make all sorts of weird noises on other things. And I think that kind of answers your question in a sense of like, where did that description come from? We're such a difficult band to pigeonhole. So because we listen to and recreate so many different styles, it's difficult to kind of go, we're a rock band, because then you play it to rock fans and they're like, well, you sound like an R&B singer. It's like, okay, well, all right, we're an R&B group. Well, you've got like live instruments and you're all white. It's like, okay, well, you know, so we just kind of came to this kind of amalgamation of all the stuff we love, and you know, in my eyes, the best bands you can't pigeonhole. So I think we must be doing something right, you know.
Well, that's exactly right. I write a lot about bands and stuff like that. A lot you can, as you say, pigeonhole. But when I started reading about you coming on the show, I thought, I'm just going to quote that and you can get me out of it, because I just couldn't put you where. But it's great. We've got another video to play at the end called Woods as well, another short, sharp title. But again, it's got the sultry grooves and a little bit of rap. So do you all write together, or is there one main writer, or do you all chuck stuff in the pot?
So usually, Ian, the rapper bass player, used to live with me. So we used to spend a lot of time writing together. And we were kind of, it was always, we would write the songs and we'd take it to the others and they would make them all lovely and beautiful and magical. And so there's kind of always been that dynamic. What tends to happen more is that I'll write the best part of a song, or Ian will write the best part of a song, and then we'll kind of challenge each other with what to change and adapt and kind of do it that way. Occasionally we sit down as a 4-piece and actually write music together, but it's not often, and it tends to be like a groove thing. And then like we're all quite introverted and we all like sort of doing things on our own. So I think when we do it on our own and then bring it together, that seems to work for us quite well.
Yeah. You're based in Hertfordshire, I think, around that area.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, as far as when I was on the road, that was quite a good area for gigs. And I looked on your website. Of course, you know, like everybody else, have they been scrapped or are they postponed? Can we look forward to seeing you again at these gigs? Or
we've had a few that will be coming back. So we've had a couple of festivals that have been postponed till next year. And then gigs have been cancelled, and I mean I lose track, to be honest, because I don't know what's going on anymore. But yeah, lots of things have changed, and many will do when it's safe to do so, if you see what I mean. But yeah, it's a great county for music. Lots of great venues and lots of good promoters, great bands, like lots of really good bands. So it's a good place to be.
In this big production sound, I mean, it is a big sound. There's a lot going on from just 3 or 4 instruments. It's very well mixed. But you're playing an upside down, well, a right-handed let me get it right, a right-handed Stratocaster.
This guy.
Yeah, with a reverse neck or a left-handed neck. And there's essence of a bit of an angry guitar player coming out now and again. So who influenced? Tell me about the guitar first.
So this guitar is actually a Hendrix, whatever they call it, artist issue. And I love Hendrix, he's great, but I've always loved him as a vocalist more than his guitar playing. And I never really wanted to be someone that had an artist series guitar, you know. But I went on the very brief moment of my life where I had enough money for a proper guitar. I went to buy a US Strat, and I played 3 or 4, and they were okay. And then I saw that one because it was the wrong way around and it was sticking out. I was like, well, I better play that. And I played it and I loved it. So it was bought instantly, and I've loved it ever since. So it's just a great guitar. The fretboard on it is just insane. I don't know how they've hidden that fretboard from the rest of their range for so long, but I couldn't believe it. It was better than many of the guitars I played at double the price, so it was a no-brainer.
I tell you what, I was interested, just going back to Hendrix, because that's my era, being a bit old school. Over the years, I've analysed certain songs. I'm just messing around with all along the Watchtower. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to know how he did it that much. Over the last couple of years, I've really, really listened to his vocal, like you're saying. Is that what stood out for you first? I've never heard anybody else say that. Insane
singer, man. Just incredible singer. And it's good because, I mean, you could argue the same thing as for his guitar playing, but it's so like, it's not an academic musical approach, you know? It's like completely heartfelt, completely in the fingers and completely from the soul. And that's that you can't learn that and you can't fake that. So when a vocalist can do that, that's me instantly captured. And his vocal performances just astounding. And he was very shy of his voice, I think. He had really convinced to sing because he just wanted to play his Strat. But yeah, thank God that he started singing, man. What a voice.
If he was around today, you'd know it was him. It's like there's a lot of bands who've got great guitar players, but as soon as you hear the voice,
man.
that sort of stuff. But just go back to guitar playing. Who has been your influences? Who have been your influences?
That's a big question, man. Because I mean, I've kind of listened to and played in pretty much every genre. So there's like Carlos Santana. I couldn't not mention. He's probably one of my favorite all-time musicians, partly because he just works with everyone. But what an insane guitarist, and it's that soul thing, like he manages to make his guitar cry like a little baby, and I just think that's so beautiful. Derek Trucks is quite influential. I love the way that he can just make it sound like it's not a guitar, like it's an instrument in its own right. and his approach to kind of just melody. It's almost like kind of upside down melody, and I love that. But I mean, just the classics like B.B. King and Clapton, and oh man, it's like saying who's your favourite singer. You know, there's too many people that have done too much good stuff. But yeah, all the classic guitarists. You know.
So are you a guitar collector? You've obviously got more than one, because I can see one behind you. I can't quite see what it is.
So I've got a Washburn here. This is my spalted maple idol, and I spent a long time trying to find this guitar, and I think there's only like a handful, if that, in the country, because they didn't do this finish in the UK, so I had to import it. And I made a really good friend in the process of importing that guitar. But I used to collect guitars. I used to have a lot of guitars, and I had that whole kind of gear addiction thing that I think we all go through. And I just kind of at some point went, do you know what? I can't be bothered because it never ends. And so I got rid of everything that I didn't use or play, and kept it like I'm going to have two of everything that's good. So I've got that, and they're very, very different guitars. So it was a fair balance. So I don't collect stuff anymore as such, but I have to be very careful not to go down that route again.
No, not going in there. You have a second. Is the white one the main one for live?
Yeah. I just play it better. Like I feel, you know, it's like when you just find a guitar that you just, every time you play it, you're like, yeah, I sound good on this. And like this guitar, I love this guitar, but I don't play it as well as it ought to be played. And so I go away thinking someone else should be playing that guitar. So I've kept it because it's beautiful and I love it. But that's the one.
Do you know what's strange? I had some guitars like that. I thought, yeah, okay, what do I do? I changed it out. I bought another amp, a big valve amp.
Yeah.
And some others, and it just changed the whole character of the guitar, and I can't put it in. It's just saying, what gear do you use on stage? Have you got big amps, Tarrant stacks, or combos, or?
No, I use a Fender Hot Rod Texas Special. So it's a 1x12 combo with a really nice vintage 30 in it, and it's red, and so I can get on board with that. But it's just a great, like, just the Fender amps, man. You can't. I used to be so against Fender. This is the irony. Like when I was growing up and I was in metal bands, I was like, oh, who plays a Fender Strat, man? It's rubbish. And Fender amps, you know, like I wanted a Les Paul and a Marshall. And then again, at some point, I was just like, do you know what? Every time I play that Fender amp, it sounds great. So I'll buy one of them. And every time I play a Strat, I love it. So I'll buy a Strat, and then it's kind of stuck, you know.
If you've got a good sound coming back between your monitors, it depends how your mic's up, of course. But
this is it.
Yeah.
Well, I use the Sound System close mic in the amp. So it's beautiful. All I have to do is give the other end of an XLR to the sound man, and I'm straight.
I know about that. That's built in front of the speaker, isn't it? On a little frame.
Yeah, so it mounts to the kind of front of the speaker on the same mounting screws as the speaker. So it's great. It's so useful.
Okay. So you've had about five, 6 albums now, I think, something like that. And you've got awards. I've made some notes here because I couldn't write it down. The NMG Awards.
Yeah.
And tell us about the award.
So we did a few like mini gigs on a radio station over in Cambridge, and kind of thought nothing of it, you know, because when you're on the circuit, you do little things like that all the time, and we're not from Cambridgeshire, we're a Hearts band, and then, you know, a few months later we got this invitation to the Cambridge Music Awards, as it kind of was at the time. And so we're thinking, okay, well, that's cool. Like, it's a night out, there's free beer and, you know, a bit of a show. So we went along, and lo and behold, we won it. Not it, but one of the best pop act we won. And so we were all blown away, and it was really cool. And it was a great night out, and it felt a real privilege because we weren't kind of part of that scene, as it were. And yet we kind of stormed up and took a trophy home. So that was pretty dope. I enjoyed that.
Excellent. Well, I'm just when all this rubbish is over and we can get out and see some gigs, I'm you're on the top of my list. I've got to come and see you. That's going to be
Please
really cool.
do,
So
man.
we can follow you on Facebook, website, see what you're getting up to.
Yep.
That'd be good. I think we're going to play out with Woods. The
Cool.
track Woods. Another, we got Blood. We got Woods. Are you into just quick titles, or have you got? Are they all spaced out? I like just the plain in-your-face titles. That's great.
Do you know what? I don't think we use a lot of long titles. Like the title of the album is quite long, Pop Girls, etc. But yeah, track names like short and sweet, man. I'm a big believer in that, and it usually comes from like the first point of I start writing a song, So it's like, well, that's going to be what the song is about, so that's the title. So
Yeah.
run with it.
Yeah, I mean, why have a title that's just nothing to do? There's a lot of those about.
Yeah.
You've got to have a theme running through it. Talking about themes, on Woods, there's like going through the woods, get me out the woods. And when the band plays, you're all in red. What's the red theme? Everybody's in red. I think it looks great. Is that just for the video, or?
So the idea behind Woods is that it's kind of like an escape from the kind of limitations of society, I suppose, and all the kind of nonsense that we've built up as human beings to kind of trap ourselves in. And so I like the idea of hiding in plain sight, like going to the most remote area that we can think of in the UK, but dressed just not in any way camouflage, like standing out like saw whatever's at a party. That was really appealing to me. And I like red, so anything red's good. But that was the idea behind that and the visual.
Brilliant. Oh, it's so nice to talk to you. And as I say, when all this rubbish is over, we're going out and see you live. And
Please do, man.
everybody's going to be quite shocked. I've seen live stuff on and as I say, can't be pigeonholed, which is great. So we're going to play out with Woods. Thanks ever so much.
I'ma find me a blanket. I'ma sharpen up my knives too. Cut me up a little something, something like you. I'ma take out the silver, shine it up real nice, so I can find out what it means to you. Baby, what's your price?
Another day moving, another hard graft. I've been spending time hiding the light from the stars, and the art of my scars is a fast way to grasp. I've been patiently pacing these clubs and these bars. I never met another one quite like you, smile like you, taking all my time like you do. Believe me, this was never easy. I'm pushed to my limits, and it's time for you to feel me.
Meet me in the woods. I got you what you wanted all those years ago. Am I too late for love? Meet me in the woods. Oh, I could hear you calling. No, don't answer your phone. I've been waiting for you to meet me in the woods. You ain't gotta be afraid of me. What's fair anyway? You said yourself you want salvation. I see no better way. Stand over there by the water, feel the rain on your skin. Stare straight into the lens, baby, like I'm your everything.
I got what you need, trust me. The silverware, the daily scare, the home and the heart so lovely. A shame that you previously met me with defiance, left me hopeless with a heavy, sick, cathartic misalliance. Now it's who's this guy? Who goes there? Sitting here is getting tired. I'm wired from these intoxicants. I'm on the rocks again. Too many demons in here boxing. I just need you in the woods. Meet me there, I got you.
Meet me in the woods. I got you what you wanted all those years ago. Am I too late for love? So meet me in the woods. I can hear you calling. No, don't answer your phone. I've been waiting for you. Pocket full of poses, no roses, I swear. These clothes that you wear, I'm keeping you back.
Great song, great song. Thanks very much to Ozz in April Blue. That's a great little track called Woods. Got to get out and see them when lockdown is over. Good band, good band. Gareth, you're up next, my buddy.
Oh, wow. I just want to say that was wicked. Nice one, Oz. That's those songs, man. Seriously, lush textures in there. And I noticed when you're choosing your favourite guitarist that you picked all the ones that, taught themselves. And, no theory behind it. It was just what felt good.
I thought it was interesting with the vocal on Hendrix, though. I've often thought that. That's strange.
Yeah.
Anybody else say that before?
Very insightful. But we're going to move on. We're going to talk to Jon Antony from the amazing band 9 Miles South. We're going to have a quick listen to their track called Devils, and they've been described by Classic Rock magazine as dark country. Here we go.
Cloud hanging over me, cold ice shakes my hand. My last breath was a memory. The noon sun tells the death's last dance. My love masquerades the devil's touch. My sweet love singing high. Thunderstorm, a red flag in the mist. Lover in black turned to bring me down. Said I've been waiting for redemption and it tastes like this. My love masquerades the devil's touch. My sweet love singing out.
Well, there we have it. That's Devils by 9 Miles South. What a great song. I love that video. I thought it was really well directed. Later on in the video, the face actually melts off people. Was that a deliberate choice in the video there, Jon?
Well, that wasn't my decision, but it was basically just like some sort of creature coming out of some oil or tar or something.
I thought it was pretty cool because you're literally melting faces. I thought that was pretty good.
Not a guitar solo really in there as well.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
sometimes the simpler songs are good enough without a solo.
Thanks.
There they are. So how are you doing, man? You all good?
I'm very, very good. Very good.
Cool. So there's another song of yours, Bones, which I think we're going to play at the end of the video. It's funny actually, where your two songs were Bones and Devils, and Ozz's was, what were they? Woods and... Well, they're all one word.
Blood. Wood and blood.
Blood, that's right. They're all one word. We've got one word song bands tonight. That song, Bones, that has a great music video. And for me, I think that's the one that shows your dark country vibes. I mean, would you agree, or is there another song on your album, on your repertoire, that you think captures the dark country vibes more?
I mean, that's definitely kind of one up there, especially with the kind of video that we did for it with like drones and stuff that made it look brilliant. I guess, I mean, like, kind of, from our first EP, we did The Reckoning, which kind of got that sort of kind of dark country kind of vibe in there as well. I mean, even from our new EP, we've got Butcher and His Dog, or if you want like a sort of kind of ballady kind of country kind of thing. You've got these fine words, but yeah, I mean, like kind of, I mean, just yeah, we've kind of just got that kind of vibe, I guess.
Well, tell us about the band, man. Are you heavily involved with the songwriting, or is it a collaborative effort, or is it just one guy bringing it to the band and making it all sound good? What's going on?
I bring it. No, no. So
It's all me. It's all me.
Yeah. Who else? No. So basically, myself, Seb, Andy, and Jack, we're kind of majority of the time with the music side of things, we'd kind of bash it all out and everything, and kind of make sure, kind of things sound good and everything. But then me and Seb, we're more involved in the songwriting side of stuff. So it's like kind of it's nice to kind of actually work with someone songwriting, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of like, especially when like if you write it on your own, it's all kind of you're a bit shy to kind of show it to someone. But when you
man, we've all been there. Write your own songs. It's like, nah.
Well, you've heard some of them.
So, is there any kind of any meanings behind Devils? Like, what's the meaning behind that song? Or what inspired the writing for that? Do you know? I mean, were you involved in that one?
Well, you chose the one that I didn't write the lyrics for. No, very much in the music side of things. But do you know what? I'm going to sound really bad. I have no idea what it's about, and I'm sure, and I know the band's watching, so I can imagine I've got them probably thinking, I've told you many, many times, but I can't remember.
Did you help write Bones?
Oh yeah, I wrote the chorus of that.
Oh, really? Well, tell us about that one then.
All right then. So I came up with the kind of riff stuff. I mean, that's still kind of debatable in the band. I mean, I think I did the majority of it, but they will definitely say no.
They're not here to say
they're not here,
so
but with the chorus, I had this idea whilst kind of just like playing, and the only thing that was close to me to writing anything on was a bill. So I wrote the chorus. So the chorus of Bones, I wrote the chorus of that on the back, literally just like kind of boom, and took it to the boys, and then they said yes.
That's cool. So inspiration struck, and you wrote it down. Have you kept the receipt?
Have I kept the receipt? No. Unfortunately, I didn't make one.
No. Okay, fair enough. Well, tell us about how many albums have you got now?
So we've only done EPs. We're hoping to the next kind of recordings that we do. We're hoping to do that as an album. But yes, we've got 2 EPs out, and then we released 2 singles a couple of years before we released the recent EP.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is one's Bones and one's White Lines.
So things are going to be coming out soon for it, yeah? You got any time scale on that?
Well, I mean, because of COVID, I don't know when I'm going to be able to see my bandmates again, if ever. I might have to do a solo career from my home.
Oh, wow, that
Who
was cool.
wants that?
Well, how long has the band been together now? It's been 4 years, is it?
So I think I joined back 2014. So I've been in the band for about 6 years. But we released our first EP, I think, 2015. So I've been in the band for about a year and gigging about everything, kind of testing out songs and stuff like that.
Cool. And so how many members of the band? Because I remember we had a quick chat about it, and you had a bit of trouble with drummers.
Let's do
fine.
Let's
tell us about the band.
So there's 4 of us. We've got Seb on vocals, we've got Andy on bass, and then we've got Jack on drums, and then myself on guitar. But it's always been a 4-piece. But we have had drummers before, but there's just been issues, and yeah.
Issues. Okay, cool, fair enough. And your album and your EP, are all available to download?
They are on all your streaming platforms, your Spotify's, your Apple Music, and your whatever.
Excellent. You've got this dark country. Like, you're going to have to walk me through this. Dark country. I've never heard of dark country before. Can you explain that to me? I'm 30 now. I don't know if that wipes me out, or I'm not hip anymore, but The first time
Well,
I heard
I
it.
guess, I mean, we were lucky that we got given that by classic rock, so we kind of run with it, obviously. I guess it's just that kind of whole Americana, you know, kind of very much influenced by a lot of American kind of music. But I mean, even if you like, you know, put all of our styles out on one thing, you'd be surprised. There'd be like kind of literally everything there. But yeah, I think we just seem to do this kind of country rocky, kind of bluesy, dark country thing. Hopefully, well.
Yeah. Wicked. All right, no. Well, have we got any questions for you? I've got any questions for you? Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do I? Do you have any questions? Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. I started trying to look for my notes and I just lost it. It disappeared off the iPad. Yes. Anyway, tell us about the gear you use, because the sound you got from this is quite an overdriven kind of sound, rocky, bluesy sound. What kind of gear is it? Just a straightforward guitar amp, or is there loads of effects in the middle there? What's going on?
Luckily, Gareth, I have everything out with me, so I will show you.
You don't say. This is what you have prepared earlier.
Let me. Right. So first of all, I don't know if you can kind of see here. I've got an EVH Series 3 5150, which is made by Fender. And the clean sound on it is just wonderful. And I'm not normally the kind of person that would go for sort of signature things, but this thing is absolutely brilliant. And especially having that kind of Fender kind of sound, especially with the clean stuff and then the crunch and everything. But yeah, it's kind of got that. If I want to go more overdriven, then I can.
Man, I've heard. Is it EVH? You say?
Yeah, EVH.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that. Really good things. A lot of people are using that. Yeah, it's got. You got clean, and then you got face melter, which is amazing. But what about your guitar melter? This one goes to 11.
It goes to 11.
Yeah. What about your guitars though? I know because I've known you for a while.
Yes.
I know you don't have many guitars.
I'm nervous about doing this interview because we used to live together.
The story I can tell.
Right. So first off, I've got this beautiful thing, a Gibson Les Paul. It was made in 2006 February time, and I bought it that year as well. I changed the pickups. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I've got to keep a little bit secret here.
You don't know, do you?
No, I do know. But then I've got also the Heritage Cherry Burst, which normally I'm not a big fan of sort of sunburst. So the next guitar is going to be interesting. Here I have a Telecaster Sunburst. But every time I've tried a guitar out, it's always to do with the sound. It's never to really kind of do with the looks. But unfortunately, they just seem to choose me. But I'm not the most biggest fan of Sunburst. But this is I've got to get this right. This is a Fender Telecaster Elite, and it was, I think, made. I don't know when it was made, but I know I got told by the guy in the music shop that this is one of the last sort of tellies to be made with rosewood neck, because I think now they've turned to ebony.
Have they?
Oh, all right, there we go. So that's that one. And then I completely forgot. But then I've got this one, which is my most newest edition, which is my my Taylor, which is
Wait a second. You mean this Taylor?
I don't think it's the same.
Oh, come on, that looks pretty similar.
They're very similar, but this starts at the 12th fret.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so this is my lovely acoustic, and it's wonderful and sounds lovely. And then I'll quickly just pick up, and hopefully nothing will fall down onto the acoustic.
You've got another one? Oh, your pedal board. Oh.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd show this.
Good idea.
Wrong with Superglue because it would have fallen off. Musicians. So I've got tuner, obviously, micro pog, because I'm a big fan of Deep Purple, and especially people like John Lord. He had that real big kind of like organ sound, so that's where I kind of use that.
Those octave pedals are seriously underrated. I think octave pedal is a must, to be honest, on any pedal board. You get so much out of it.
Oh, they're absolutely.
Yeah, lovely.
And then I've got a DD7 down there that does delay, obviously. And then we've got Phaser 90, Super Chorus Boss, and then the good old wah. I'll put this down now.
Bow chicka wow wow. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. You know,
That's all right,
people like your music. You know, you're on Facebook and all, Instagram and all that.
We're on absolutely every platform you can think of.
Yeah, can't look anywhere without seeing you.
Not at all.
Well, thanks. I think we're going to play you out with another tune called Bones.
Cool.
Paid my best day for me. I'm open to crack the seal of the bottle. Me, I'm going down, down, down. Dance for me, pretty dolly. Arms wide open to bend the rules just a little. Me, I'm going down, down, down.
I can just about, yeah.
Down, down, down.
We're on after this.
Me, I'm going down.
Being at the same time.
I'm going down. So give me them bones. Give me your skin. Give me your life. Give me everything. Breathe for me, little hottie. I ain't shot open. I can see it warning me. I'm going down, down, down. Stay and see just a little. Be manic to fall. Have to bow to the leader. Me, I'm going down, down, down. Me, I'm going down, down, down. Me, I'm going down. I'm going down. So give me them bones. Give me your skin. Give me your life. Give me everything. Give me them bones. Give me your skin. Give me your life. Give me everything.
Right, Gareth, interesting, very good. I like that. Dark country. Never heard of dark country before.
Neither have I, not till today.
I wanted to ask him. I didn't know whether to butt in or not. I don't know if he could hear me or not. The oranges of oranges, the origins,
The
where they
origins.
got. Yeah, that'll do. Where they got their name 9 miles south from? I think that's great.
Good question. I think he's still there.
I am still here.
Well, go on
Would you
then.
like- would you like to know?
If it takes an hour, no.
No, it won't. So basically, Seb, the lead singer, he came up with the name because he watched Blues Brothers, and they said something about in the scene that they're 10 miles south, and he went, that doesn't sound good, and he went 9 miles south, that sounds pretty good, and then that's it. There we go.
Simple.
From that film.
Good luck. Like the sound. Good music. Good guitar playing there. Excellent.
Very much.
Excellent. Well, we're going to pop back to my major guest for me tonight is Steve Walwyn, long-standing guitarist in British rhythm and blues band Dr Feegood. He's been out on his bicycle. I think they've rescued him. He's back. He's home. He's showered and he's ready. But before we see him, we're going to play a little clip from Dr Feegood in action. Sweaty club night. Actually, it's at the Cheltenham Town Hall, I think, way back in 1990. Get your...
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Looking
it's raw. It's rocking. It's bluesy rock, hot, sweaty stuff. I love it. It's Dr. Feegood. And welcome, Steve Walwyn.
Hello, Lars.
How are you? You're back
very
off your
well.
bike.
I
Got
have
you off your... Brilliant. So much to talk about. Dr. Feegood just goes back so far. But I mean, lockdown. We got the last time I'm going to mention lockdown. But for someone like yourself, it must be pretty hard because how many gigs a year were you? What's on average that you? It just went on and never stopped, did it?
Well, I've gone from having a completely full diary way into next year to absolutely nothing and no idea when the next gig's going to be. But I mean, we were doing these days probably 120 to 130 gigs a year, but much less than we used to. When I first joined the band, we were doing up 200 regularly. So it's too old for that now, that many.
I mean, but there's all over Europe as well, wasn't it? Italy.
Yeah.
Spain.
From Finland right down to Greece and then Japan as well. We used to go to Japan quite a lot. I don't miss the travel, I have to say, these days. That's the hardest part of it for me now.
Yeah, I think you need to. You feel as though you want to just have a few days rest in between. But the gigs they're always sold out. You've got a lot of fans still.
Thankfully, yes.
It's just that sort of three-piece rocky sound. Is that what does it? It doesn't seem to date to me. Just the way you're do the Telecaster overdriven stuff. But there's generations of fans, isn't there?
I mean, it's a simple band. It's just a drum kit, a bass guitar, and a guitar and a singer. That's it.
Yeah.
Really,
is that what you? Do you like the freedom that you get as a one guitar player?
It's different. I mean, I've played with two guitars before, with another guitar player before in several other bands. So it's just a different discipline, I think. You have to fill the gaps, I guess, because when you're playing with another instrument, for example, when I used to play in the band called the Big Town Playboys, there were saxophones, there was a piano. At some points in the song, I didn't have to do anything in some songs, but with Feegood, I'm kind of on, full on pretty well all the time.
Oh yeah, there's no stroke in the strings either, and I mean, there's some slow sort of bluesier songs in there, but I mean, most of it, it's rocking. It's been augmented, or obviously by Robert Kane on harmonica.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
You got Kevin Morris on drums, who's been in there a long time as well.
Yeah.
Crikey. Phil Mitchell on bass. I mean, these are all long-standing members. You've been in it since when?
1989. I joined June 1989. So it's 31 years to the month. So I did the first.
That's just incredible. I mean, I'm interested in Dr. Feegood and the actual three-piece sound going. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of that, a lot of the early gigs.
Yeah.
And I've written in articles and I've read other people saying that like I said earlier, the up-tempo, hard-rocking beat influenced a lot of punk bands, or the start of the punk movement. Wouldn't like to say it started it, but they looked at a lot of Down at the Jetty, Roxette, and all that sort of that sort of. Do you agree with that?
I do, definitely. Again, the stripped down sound of the band, just guitar, bass and drums and a voice, as opposed to what was going on at the time in the 1970s. A lot of bands were using keyboards and synthesizers and big production, but Feegood went right back to the basics. Simple rock and roll band. Yeah.
So just one lead into an angry amplifier cranked up. Yeah. And if the stage is big enough, you could leave it at that volume every night. Didn't you talk to Joe Strummer about this?
We played on the same festival in France.
The Clash, obviously.
It wasn't the Clash, no, it was this band called the Mescaleros.
Oh,
so
right.
It was after the Clash. And I was sitting in the dressing room and Joe came in just to say hello. And he saw me playing my guitar and he just, well, first of all, he said how much the early Dr. Feegood had been an influence on the Clash. But then he looked at my guitar and he said, "Oh man, can I have a go on that? Can I have a go on that?" So I said, "Yeah, go for it." And he picked it up and started playing it. He said, "How much do you want for it?" I said, "It's not for sale, sorry, Joe."
What was special about that one at the time?
Well, it was the Plank.
Yeah, it was the Plank.
It was.
And
yeah.
who named it as the Plank? Where did it get its name from?
Well, it got its name when I went to the first rehearsal with the Feelgoods on Canvey Island in April of 1989.
Yeah.
I took the
Canvey Island in itself is just
yeah, Canvey Island. Yeah. We did a couple of songs, and Lee Brillo, the singer, R.A.P. Lee.
Yeah.
He just turned around and looked at that guitar and he said, "By the way, I like that guitar. It's just a Plank, isn't it?" And the name just stuck, and it's still called that to this day.
Well, as we're going to talk a bit more of the Plank, because it's a flagship guitar. We've got a couple of shots coming. I think you've got it there, but we've got a couple of still shots I took of it when I came to a studio a while ago as we're talking. This is the one, isn't it, that you drove over in your car?
I did. Right? I did, by accident. Yeah, I leant it against the front wing of the car while I adjusted something in the back of the car. I can't remember what. And then just forgot that it was there. It was in a leather bag. And then I reversed the car out and then bang, bang over the car. I thought, oh no, what have I done? But hey, it's repaired. It's as good as new. Well, as good as it ever was. And
as you can see in some of these photographs, and you can hold it up as well in a minute.
Yeah.
The paint's just gone, the covering's just gone, and the sweat from you has lifted the grain.
Yeah.
It looked like a shiny old school desk when I saw it. I think we've got some photographs coming up. And hold him up as well. Have you got him there?
Yeah.
Turn it over the back. Let's have a look at the back. The rear, yeah. Look at that. Just the top back where the belly is.
Yeah, just there. And it's not been relicked, by the way. That's genuine wear and tear.
Crikey. So how did you know it was that colour? Blonde, you said.
When I bought it, it had already been stripped down, but under the scratch plate there's a little patch of the original finish, and it's either the blonde or Olympic white. I can't decide which. But so that it was a kind of a fashion in the 70s to do that, to people to strip wood guitars back to bare wood.
There's no such thing as vintage back then, was there?
No, indeed.
Has that been all around the world with you?
It has. It has. It's pretty. I mean, it's literally done thousands of gigs.
Yeah.
And it's still going.
Brilliant.
I think it's been refretted, to my knowledge, 4 times. Obviously, when I ran over it, a load of these top frets just popped out, so it had to be refretted then. But from genuine wear before that, it's been, I think, 4 times.
Yeah, and one of the coming up, you can see a crack right across the neck. So you've built a couple. We'll get in a minute. How I know you're a skilled luthier as well. You've made several guitars that you use on stage, but telly is always number one. You've got yellow, red tellies as well.
Yeah.
USA tellies. Is the Plank still your number one go-to?
It is for recording. I don't take it out on the road as much now, just for special occasions, really. But if I'm going into a recording studio, that'd be the first one that I'd pick up, definitely.
And you also got if I remember rightly, a Rob Williams custom-built one.
I have it right here, and there it is. Beautiful, beautiful guitar.
Hold it up a little higher. Hold it up a bit, Steve.
Yeah. Can you see that now?
Cover your face. I don't know. You can see, but that's it. Got a P90 at the neck as well. We were going to have Rob Williams on tonight. He's a wonderful British guitar luthier based in Birmingham, but he called me up in his Birmingham accent. He's shot his back. He can't sit still. He's laying on the floor, so we couldn't interview him. But we're going to have him up on Britain's Rare Guitars chat show in a few weeks' time when he's better. But look at the stripes. Is it a maple top? That's beautiful.
It's a maple top, yeah, flame maple top. It's a swamp ash body with a flame maple top. I mean, it's a Telecaster shape, but in construction, it's more like a Gibson in that it's a set neck. It's a glued neck. It's got an angle, a neck angle, and obviously a Tele bridge. But I love P90 pickups, and that's why I chose that to have that there. So yeah, and it's just such a beautifully made instrument. It really is. Plays like a dream as well.
Are you a bit worried to scratch it? You don't want to turn it into a Plank 2 or anything?
Yeah, it's done a few gigs now.
So, as you say, 31 years.
Sorry, let's go on.
31 years is quite some achievement to be in the same band. Did you know the original lineup or the band before you started playing with them?
Yes, I did. Well, it wasn't the original lineup when I first knew them. It was Phil and Kevin. The previous guitar player to me was Gordon Russell. But I mean, since then, I've got to know all of the original members. So, yeah, I mean, we in the 1980s, I was playing in a band called the DTs, and we became Steve Marriott's band for 2 years.
Yes.
And we supported Feelgood on a few occasions, and I got to know them all. And when Gordon Russell, the previous guitar player to me, decided he wanted to leave the band, they contacted me. So that's how I got the gig.
I mean, Steve Marriott at DTs. I mean, it's not a million miles away from Dr. Feelgood, raunchy, 12-bar bluesy stuff. I loved all the band. But Steve Marriott himself, I just thought was born to entertain, going back to the Small Faces and all that sort of stuff. I've been watching a lot of early videos with Tin Soldier, P.P. Arnold. You listen to the beginning of Itchy Coo Park as well. So I've diversed a little bit. But I want to talk about the guitars that you've made yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're a very, very good luthier yourself. What's the latest one you made? We talked a little bit about this before, but I'm not quite sure what you're going to reach for.
Well, during lockdown, this year I've made two. This is the first one I made, which is another Telecaster, which it's an ash body, and the wood for this came from a friend, and the tree had to be felled, and he gave me a piece of it, but it was a tree that grew about a mile from where I was born in Warwickshire.
So did you walk past the tree going to school and think, I'll have a guitar out of you one day? Or
No, I didn't. I know the field where it grew. Of course, it's next to my friend's house. But and the neck is, I think it's American black walnut, and it came from a door frame. Someone gave me a piece of an old door frame. So it's beautiful wood. It really is. So there's that one.
You gigged that live yet?
Sorry?
You gigged it live yet?
Once, just the once. Yeah. Humbucker a Gibson humbucker in the neck position, because I happen to have it. And well, many years ago when I played with Steve Marriott, in fact, backtracking before that, when I was a teenager, I had a poster on my wall of Steve Marriott playing a guitar, which turned out to be a coronet, an Epiphone Dwight coronet.
Yeah,
when I played with Steve, I told him this, and the next gig, he bought that actual guitar, gave it to me, and he said, there you go, hang on to it for a couple of months. And I thought, wow, I can't believe it. So anyway, recently I was given some other timber called koa, which grows in Hawaii, and it inspired me to make this guitar.
One I made earlier.
Which is a copy of a Dwight coronet, the shape, single P90 pickup, wraparound bridge, and it's come out really well, and I really like it. The same wood on the neck as the previous one, American black walnut. Yeah. So yeah, plays really nice.
Is that a high gloss finish or is satin? I can't quite see.
It's French polish.
Yes.
It's not lacquer. It's not nitrocellulose lacquer. It's actual French polish, which is shellac.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And just one P90.
Just one P90, volume and tone, dead simple.
Yeah.
Wraparound bridge. I really like those.
So are you a woodhead? Do you like the woods? Does that make a difference to you?
Definitely. Yeah, I've got my own workshop, so I something I enjoy doing. And in fact, at the moment, because we can't go out and do any gigs, I'm doing some woodwork for somebody else. So yeah, I've got a job, sort of.
I was going to talk gigs in a minute. The workshop, because I know when I came to your place, I had a quick look in, and I didn't really get around to asking if you had a lot of whirring machines, or the only thing electric I could see was the kettle. There's no bandsaws, nothing. It was all handheld tools, chipping away, sawdust stuff. You're very into all that.
Yes, indeed. But funnily enough, I do now have a bandsaw. Shock horror.
Oh, you spoilt it.
In fact, I've used it today, cutting out a Telecaster body.
I think we've got some more pictures coming up of. I was quite impressed with like the 4-string guitars you were making.
Yeah.
There was one there that you made in the shape of a violin body.
That'll be that one.
Look at that.
That'll be that one. That's inspired by a Stradivarius violin, which is in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. And I went to see it. And it's the most, it's the Stradivarius violin that's in the best condition of any of them. It's called the Messiah. I think it was made in 1716, something like that. I got the plans off the internet, off a violin maker, and this is the exact shape of that and size of that guitar. So what I did is just made it with 4 strings, which I've tuned it. If you imagine a 6-string guitar, but take away the top E and the bottom E, that's what you've got there.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. It makes you think when you're playing it, you have to think outside of your normal box, because you haven't got your top E and your bottom E. So it makes you think on your feet, kind of thing.
I noticed when I came to see a while ago, you rebuilt some old Vox AC30s.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to go and drag them out now, but didn't you find in the skip and rebuilt from scratch to finish?
One of them I did, yeah. I had a 1963, I've still got it, a 1963 Vox AC30. And I just happened to be walking down the road one day, and there was a skip, and there was a chassis of an AC30 in there. And I thought, what's that doing there? And I asked the guy who'd thrown it away if I could have it. And he said, take it. He didn't even know what it was. He'd just thrown it away. And it was a chassis. There were no transformers, so I had to source some transformers, which I did. I thankfully got, in fact, some contemporary 1963 transformers, and with a bit of help from a book called the Vox AC30 Engineer's Guide or something like that. I can't remember the exact title, but that had the circuit diagrams in it or the correct spec for all the components. So I just rebuilt it, and it sounds amazing. I can't believe that it actually works.
What else have you built outside? I know I had a whisper of what you'd built outside.
Oh yeah, the lockdown project has been building a greenhouse. Would you believe?
You need to get out.
Just finished.
You need to get on the road.
I know.
Tell you what, we're going to play out in a minute with a bit more of those classic tracks from that Cheltenham gig. We haven't mentioned the Dirt Road Blues Band.
Yeah.
Which is a side project you've got.
Yeah.
Dr Feegood.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not gigging at the moment, but any albums to promote, to talk about in that, and who's in it?
We're doing some virtual recording, so it's myself, and it's Horace Panter from the Specials on bass, who's a fantastic bass player, and Ted Duggan from Coventry on drums. So it's just a 3-piece band. At the moment, we're doing I'm putting some guitar tracks down, sending them to Ted. He's playing drums on them. So, and then over to Horace, which we haven't got that far yet, but that's the plan. We're going to put out, I don't know, 5 or 6 tracks, some on whatever platform, but that's work in progress. But it's good fun band to play in. We've done a few gigs, and yeah.
Brilliant. And obviously we can follow Dr. Feegood and whatever you're doing, Dirt Road Blues Band, on all the social media channels. I know you're active, always putting things up. Yeah. Steve, So nice to talk to you as always.
Likewise, Lars. Thanks very much indeed for having me.
No, that's fantastic. And as I say, we're going to now play out with a clip from that Cheltenham gig in 1990. Here we go.
Cool.
You made a little t-shirt, baby, on a daily grind. Forget your superstitions and quit while you're behind. You're living the good days, baby. You're living the good days of past and gone. The days of whiskey and a pound of bottle. Woo!
Got 'em on moving.